Well, I was wrong. I was wrong about this stupid fucking game. For a bit more context, on September 1st of 2022, I released a video titled Insanity 515 Mode Attempts and Why True Max Mode is Impossible. And in this video, I explained why at the time I thought the True Max Mode for 615 mode in Insanity was impossible for a human to complete. For the explanation I'm going to give later in this video to make sense, you need to understand the basic mechanics of the game. And that goes as follows. Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all appear in the hallway in front of you, and to get rid of them you need to hold up your camera until you hear them walk away. For Foxy, whenever he appears in the hallway, you need to flash him with your flashlight to make him leave. The final two characters, Springtrap and Yellow Bear, aka Fredbear, work hand in hand to make the other more of a pain. For Springtrap, whenever he appears in the hallway, you need to turn off your fan. The problem with this is that if you leave the fan off for too long, Fredbear will get mad. And if you make Fredbear mad too many times during the night, he will just take all of your power and kill you. Now, at the time, the reason why I said the mode was basically impossible for a human to do was because whenever Springtrap was on max AI, he would give you one frame after he got into the hallway before he killed you. So, basically what happened most of the time is that you would just have to hope you turned it off on the frame that Springtrap was in the hallway, or preemptively turn it off whenever you thought he was going to come. But there was no guarantee he would show up in the hallway whenever you had the fan off in the first place, and if you had it off for too long, Fredbear would get pissed off. And so it just became an entire RNG mess of how to go about things. I have since been proven wrong about basically everything I said before. As through an examination of the game's code, intervals for basically every gameplay element I described before were discovered. And through those intervals, ways were found to make the game a lot more consistent than it had been prior. To be a bit more specific, there are ways to avoid character kill timers and your power being drained by just abusing the specific intervals that were discovered before. The first big discovery was that for Fredbear, it wasn't that you had to have the fan off for a certain amount of time to piss him off, it was that you just had to have the fan off on every 7-second interval, which would cause him to get mad. So just to help explain that in a way that would make a little bit more sense. So let's just say you had your fan off when the 7-second point of the night crossed. He would be upset at that point, because you had the fan off on a 7-second interval. Then the same again would happen if you had your fan off at 14 seconds, and then at same thing at 21 seconds, which at that point you would have died because you pissed him off 3 times. And so to get around this, what most players started doing was that once this interval was discovered, they would just turn the fan on briefly around every 7-second interval, and then turn it off once the interval had passed. And the same thing applies to Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica in a slightly different way. Basically, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica can only kill you if your camera is down on every exact 1-second interval. So if you had your camera down at 0.8 seconds, but then you had it again before 1.0 seconds, then you were safe, and you could basically indefinitely stall them for as long as they decided to stay. And as long as you're able to keep that pattern up of making sure your camera was up before every 1.0 second interval. So let's just say Bonnie appeared at, 51 seconds exactly. Then, okay, to prevent him from killing you, flip up your camera at, 51.5, and then flip it down once it just passes 52 seconds. So at, say, 52.1 seconds. Then you can sit until say, about 52.8 seconds, flip up your monitor again, and then once it passes 53.0 seconds, then you can drop your monitor again, and then Bonnie just simply cannot kill you. And a similar thing applies for power as well, because your power can only be drained if you're performing certain actions on certain intervals. So for example, if you're using your flashlight, your flashlight can only drain your power if you have it on every exact, 1.0 interval. And the same thing goes for your cameras, but it's only on every 2.5 second interval. I mean, all of these discoveries about the mode led to the RNG of it being drastically reduced, and it being an actually reasonable and feasible mode to consider attempting. In fact, two people have already beaten it. Those people being Mia and Bulan. So yeah, I was wrong about Insanity 615 mode. I didn't expect to be proven wrong about this mode, and I can't say I'm pleasantly surprised, but yeah, I was proven wrong. I hope this wasn't too boring because I know this isn't the type of video I normally make. But yeah, I hope this was good enough for you, and thanks for watching.